The next workshop is going to be on innovation. So innovation, most people, when they think of innovation, they think of something new. Now, innovation happens in somebody's mind first before it happens in the outside world. Remember, something that's new to me or novel to me might not be new to you. So if you can't frame innovation as something new or something innovative, it doesn't become truly disruptive. Disruptive innovation is feeling comfortable with destroying something that works. And that's really important. We had taxis. We've always had taxis. Why would someone try to compete against the taxi industry? Uber, it's a disruptive innovation. Taxis worked, but they were willing to destroy it and build it from scratch. We had hotels. Hotels worked. Usually people weren't mad at hotels. Hotels give a great service. But Airbnb came out and completely turned the industry inside out. That's disruptive innovation, having the guts to destroy something that works. So there's two workshops that you need to do. One is called Productized Services, and the other one is the subscription model. And these two things kind of go hand in hand. You'll be able to build one on top of the other. The first one is a productized service. So most of us accountants, especially the ones that charge by the hour, they believe they charge a service, not a product, right? And because it's time-based service, you would never think of your service as a product. But one of the real innovative ways you can kind of turn the industry inside out is package your services as a product, still a service. That's why it's called a productized service. So what does that look like? So I want you to brainstorm a couple of things. One is I want you to, in a list, in a paper somewhere, write down the most common services that you perform for most of your clients. Write down a list from 3 to 5. What are the 5 most common finite services that you do for your clients? So is it clean up the chart of accounts? Is it reconcile the bank? Is it answering tax questions? Is it prepare a tax return? Is it to build a tax plan? Think about the 5 more common, think about the medium complexity stuff, not the easy stuff, not the hard stuff. What is the most common thing? So write them down. In a separate list, in a second list, I want you to think about the hardest, most complex things that you do, okay? And the ones that is really difficult to predict how long it will take. So these are the custom services. So write down the 5 most custom, most complex, most subjective services you do for clients that are difficult to know how long it takes. So write them in a second list. Third one, think about maybe 3 to 5 top easy wins you do for your client. The one that doesn't take a long time for you to do and it makes the clients feel great. So helping someone switch to an S Corp, right? Helping someone go to QuickBooks Online, fixing somebody's chart of accounts, which that might be a bit more complex. Getting someone on the cloud, helping someone switch to multi-user mode, teaching one of the employees to do something the business owner used to do all the time. So think about the top things, easy wins that you do for your clients, things that makes them feel great, that are not very time consuming for you. Now, once you have all 3 together, so you have 3 lists, right? The most common, the hardest, and the most complex and hardest to predict, and the quickest easy wins. Look for them, sort of laying them in front of you, and look for where is the relevancy, where is the happy medium where you can take a couple from each and package it into a productized service. So this is what it will look like. This is what your exercise will look like. You'll write down a list of the most complex services, like cleaning up a whole year's worth of accounting, right? Training an internal bookkeeper, building an auditable document archive, moving to the cloud, representing someone in an audit. These are the complex things. Most common things, right? Clean up AR, clean up AP, clean up inventory, entity choice, educating someone on what they need to do in QuickBooks, teaching someone how to read a P&L, a balance sheet, chart of accounts. And then think about easy wins, right? Finding those useless, redundant expenses, that the business owners don't even know what they're buying. Customizing their invoice, right? Connecting banks, do some electronic signature for tax returns, emailing documents, or helping clients have a system to email documents or have documents on the cloud, register a DBA, whatever. Lay them out. Use your own services, use your own history. Once you have all three laid out in front of you, kind of think of a Venn diagram and think about where they meet. What do they have in common? How would you package a service that maybe highlights one of each or two of each? And then take that and package it into one fixed price service. Okay? So once you do that, make sure that you can describe what your most happy clients feel about your services. What is it that makes your clients smile? What is it that makes your clients happy? So not these things, none of these things make your clients smile, really. These are the things that you do. Think about sort of holistically what the outcome is, right? So peace of mind, no penalties, increased effectiveness, focusing on profit and not on expenses, improved cash flow, relief of the tedium of bookkeeping, feeling great or feeling ready to take over the books after you're done. So be able to describe what's called the job to be done. Okay, the job to be done, it's a philosophy from Clayton Christensen's book called Innovator's Dilemma, which describes a product of a service as it having a personality with a goal. Your productized services need to have a job to be done. You need to be able to sort of give a personality to the service itself and be able to define what is the job that the product that you sell does. Okay? It's beyond communicating needs and wants. It's the desired guaranteed outcome, right? When I buy a pair of speakers, the job to be done is play music. When I buy a car, the job to be done is to take me from A to Z. When I get on a plane, the job to be done is to put me in a different location where I want to be on vacation. So job to be done is not thinking about the product, not thinking about the service, thinking about why people buy the product, what motivates, what captivates the customer from buying the product. So this is how you go about building your productized services. You pick 3 to 6 items from that Venn diagram, right? At least one from each, and you package it into one service. So for example, I have a productized service called, well, it's got different names, but what that productized service does is clean up a year's worth of books, organize the chart of accounts, clean up AR and AP, and find useless and redundant expenses. That's the package. That's what you're selling, right? So you're going to give this a unique name. And also think about those feelings, right? Increased effectiveness to make better decisions, feeling ready to take over the books. So think about 2 or 3 of those feelings or the job to be done, and then think about the actual tasks inside that productized service. And then at the end, you're going to package it and it'll look like this, right? You'll give it a name. So the name is Total Quality Cleanup Service for Manufacturers. That's the name of the productized service. Totally Quality Cleanup for Manufacturers. And you describe it like a story. With this service, you will have totally clean books up to the current month, an organized chart of accounts, accurate AP, accurate AR, okay? Accurate AR, in-depth analysis of your expenses. It's guaranteed to make you effective, giving you accurate financial statements and allow you to make better decisions. And it will also make you 100% ready to take over your books moving forward. Project completion time, 30 to 60 days, and always have your project guidelines and your scope guidelines. So that's it. Very, very easy. So we build it by just picking a couple from each of those, complex, common, and easy. Think about the top feelings, and then tying it together as one package service with one fixed price. This is the opposite of value pricing. This is why this is innovative, right? Because value pricing is about customizing the service based on their needs. The purpose of a productized service is so you can get clients' foot in the door without spending a whole bunch of time doing customized services. You might lose money on a productized service, and that is okay. You might lose money in a productized service, and that is okay. But what's great about this is most people buy without having to ask a whole bunch of questions because it's productized, and most people only buy when they identify with that service. So it allows people to think about hiring you without you having to spend any time selling it. Then when you talk to them, you can say, hey, did you look at our productized service? What questions do you have about it? And then dig right into it. So it's a great way to go to market, get clients without spending a lot of time talking to them, and have people know exactly what they're getting for what they're paying. So I love this way of selling services. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to do custom services, and I'm not saying you're not going to do monthly services, and I'm not saying you're not going to value price. I'm saying at least go to market with one key productized service, one key service that makes you stand out from the competition. It has a unique name, it has a unique scope, and is directed towards your target client. This will be one of the most iconic things you can do, and this will make you unique. So here's your homework, right? You're gonna build your own productized service that's focused around a one-time service, something that has a finite target and something that will have job to be done. Give it a unique name. Make sure you list your scope limitations. Make sure you clearly state what's not included, and get with a friend or colleague and discuss the ideas around you. This would take a lot longer to build, and this is something that would be more of a sort of morphing product as you build it. Now, the reason why I say it's okay to lose money on this is because you kind of have to get over your fear about scope creep. You have to get over your fear about losing money on it. I'm not saying you're going to lose money on every client. And if you start losing money on the first 2, 3, 4, 5, then obviously, tighten up your scope, increase the price, change your target, right? You may need to do all that. But also, make sure that you have your scope guidelines, right? You can have your asterisks and have a second page with the scope guidelines, right? So first page has this, right? The front of the page has this, has a little asterisk that says, see our project scope guidelines. And then on the back of the page, you have your limitations, right? Whatever they are, right? You must have discrete access to QuickBooks 24/7. You must provide all the documents before we start working. If data entry is missing from the transactions, you have to create them, not us. We will send you a list of what's missing, and that will delay the promise delivery time, right? We will delete all redundant transactions and provide an accompanying report, and you can decide whether or not you want to re-enter them. We will not reconstruct any relevant information that we deleted. It's your job to do it, right? We'll use information from your bank accounts. We will provide no training, no support, doing whatever it is, right? So it's really, really important for you to have scope guidelines pre-written that will help also your client to decide if they want to do it. And also, this is really where most of the conversation happens, is on here. So where a potential client looks at the productized service and says, this is great for me. Then they look at the project guidelines, then they call you or email you, and you have a deep conversation around any of these things. If at any point in time, they start asking for you to get into any of these things that you are basically leaving as a part of the scope, then you switch over to a custom service. But it was great because you got the client in the door interested about, it's not bait and switch, right? It was clearly stated. It's not bait and switch. And again, as you iterate and as you do different versions of this, you might not make money on the first couple of ones, but this will help you and it will teach you how to create more limitations and more guidelines.